Wager matches are these 4 brand new free-for-all based game modes that we created for Black Ops. These game modes were designed to be pure kind of adrenaline junkie fun.
These are separate from your standard rank progression in your online competitive play. In Wager Match, you take the currency that you've earned and you can gamble it against other players. And what you're gambling on is that you're going to come in the top 3 on the final scoreboard.
So if you're in the top 3 players, it's called being in the money. Those players get paid and the rest go broke.
There's always going to be some losers and some winners. So even if you do lose, you know, me personally, I want to jump right back in and try to reclaim my currency that I've lost.
The very first Wager Match game mode that we made was one called One in the Chamber.
It's as simple as everybody spawns in with a pistol.
And only a pistol.
1 bullet and 3 lives. When you kill somebody, you get to take their bullet. But if you fire and you miss, then you're now without any kind of weapon except for melee. So it probably has the highest level of tension just because it's so unforgiving. And I think that caters to some of the very, very hardcore kind of players.
The second Wager Match game mode is one called Sticks and Stones. In this game mode, you're equipped with a crossbow and a ballistic knife. You also have a tomahawk. The twist on this game mode is if you toss the tomahawk and hit someone, you'll bankrupt that player. Bankrupt. This mode will teach you to watch your back. Gun game is the third Wager Match game mode. The idea for the gun game came straight from the community. And this is a series of progressive weapons. So you start off with a pistol.
With every kill, you progress to the next higher weapon.
The first player who progresses through all the weapons will win the gun game, but you have to be careful, because if you get knifed, you will get set back 1 tier. The gun game will reward players who are proficient with every weapon available in the progression. The final Wager Match game mode is called Sharpshooter, and in Sharpshooter, all players start with the same randomly selected weapon. You use that gun for a fixed amount of time, and only that time, and then everyone will get switched out to the next weapon. Weapon cycle. In Sharpshooter, with each kill, you will earn a perk and eventually a scoring multiplier.
Every game kind of has this little twist to it that allows people to grief other players and stay competitive.
Because you put up COD points to purchase things in the game economy, when you go over to Wager Matches and gamble it, you can win and be able to buy what you want, or lose and not be able to buy anything. So it creates this natural tension. It's also just super satisfying to take somebody's money.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Pred, and welcome to Data Control Episode 1. And as you saw by the opening sequence, we are going to be talking about the Black Ops multiplayer review trailer. And on this particular episode, we're going to be talking about the trailer that I shared at the beginning, talking about the new game mode called Wager, and also go over some of the things that happened at the press conference. So I think we're going to jump right into the press conference, and then we can go into a kind of in-depth breakdown of my first thoughts on the trailer, because the trailer looks really sick and we get to see a lot of cool things in use. Now, I did take some notes, and I gotta say, it looks really cool. So let's kind of go over some of the topics that I had written down, and stay tuned towards the end of this particular segment, because I am going to address something that a lot of people have been asking about and questioning. So without further ado, let's kind of start going into this breakdown. There are new game modes. They are confirmed. In fact, the trailer at the beginning kind of highlighted some of them, and they look amazing. Let me say that right now. There are new items that we're going to talk a little bit about. One of them was not featured, but it's called the Nightingale. And what the Nightingale is back when the actual Black Ops soldiers were being trained, they had these devices by the same name, the Nightingale, where they would strap kind of firecracker-like items together and throw them out into the forest, and they'd crackle like gunfire and people walking, and the enemies would instantly go out and ambush what they thought were people, but in fact they were the ones getting ambushed. How this is going to fit into Black Ops as a video game, I don't know, but it does sound like a really cool idea. I'm interested to see how a lot of this stuff is going to go, you know, playing game battles, playing competitively, and you know, what we're going to see from that. I'm actually still kind of scanning through. I have my laptop to instantly update when you know, anybody tweets or there's a new webpage about Black Ops. It's kind of how I've been keeping up to date. There's going to be a new mode called combat training, and what combat training is going to be is you're going to be able to play on all the normal multiplayer maps, but against AI bots, and this can be solo or with other people cooperatively. This means if you want to hone your skills by yourself, you can do that. If you want to jump on with your team and have an impromptu team practice, you can do that against AI. And I think that's a really cool new feature that is, you know, being put in. I personally think it's an amazing idea. I'm interested to see how it's going to play out. As we saw in the trailer, we saw things like marathon, lightweight, akimbos. You know, those are all coming back. Create class in Black Ops, your perk setup will actually directly influence the way your character looks. That is, how built he is, what he looks like, what gear he's wearing. It kind of did that in Modern Warfare 2 if you look at the different character models, but not to this extent, because you could be, you know, this really big dude, yet, you know, you could still run like a, you know, like somebody that weighed like 2 pounds. Anyway, so let's get moving on. So some kill streaks that were shown were a SAM turret, which is a surface-to-air missile, and the Grim Reaper, which is a sort of rocket launcher. And there is going to be a minigun in the game, and we can talk about that when I kind of do an in-depth look at the trailer. And they've also announced that the kill streaks are going to be more interactive. Now, this came after their statement that they were saying that they're putting all their cards on the table at once. They want this to be the best possible game they can make, and they're going to just go all out, pull out all the stops to make this thing, you know, the game of the year that, you know, that everybody's been waiting for. And a lot of people are saying that's going to be Reach, but let me tell you something. After watching this conference and, like, looking at all the stuff that's coming out of it, I don't really think that Reach has a chance unless they come out with like Halo Reach in 4D. But as you saw, there's going to be the waging abilities where you can bet your money, and now you unlock weapons by gaining this cash, and you can also buy stuff for your character. That's a really interesting way, because before I said that twice, but a lot of my team uses certain guns. So when they prestige, we're kind of screwed because we can't do game battles because not all my team is up to par and with the guns that they want to use. And this just opens it up, so it's kind of like you buy the guns that cater to your gameplay style when you want them. Okay, so it's like in Call of Duty, I like the TAR and the UMP. So I would probably buy the TAR and the UMP first, and then buy the other guns slowly as I progressed throughout the multiplayer experience. They did not say anything about prestiging, and I'm very curious to see what features they're going to add to the prestige. Now, a lot of you are probably wondering, how do you earn cash? Cash is earned by winning contracts, as you saw in those elite game modes, and also by your playstyle and by gaining kill streaks. What I mean is not by camping or by boosting. I mean, it's kind of like Medal of Honor in the way that it rewards you depending on how you play the game, and that's just kind of coming out of it. The gun game mode looked a lot like, I don't know how many of you play Counter-Strike, but it looks a lot like a Counter-Strike type mod, and customization is amazing in this game. They're kind of letting us now finally have control of how we want to play this game, how we want everything to look. So, you know, customization items, include, you can customize your red dot, your gun pattern, you can add like designs to your gun, your emblems, your red dots can now have smiley faces. You can kind of, you know, put gold etching onto it like the Pack-a-Punch machines did in World at War, and there's also a flamethrower attachment. A flamethrower attachment, that's pretty cool. A lot of people are gonna be, that's gay and cheap. No, I think that's freaking awesome. The emblem editor looks like it's taken right out of Halo. Not a bad thing, because I kind of like the ability to have a totally open ability to create an emblem. And I have a picture that I'm looking at right here. I'm probably going to end up putting this in the video. But it looks like you have layers. Kind of like you can layer on and create your own emblem. Like I'm looking at this, it's a duck with a recycle around its eye, and then it's two bunnies having gay pirate butt sex inside of a heart. I don't know how they're going to be able to regulate what you create, but it looks like you can create whatever you want as long as you don't exceed whatever layer cap they have on it, and that's pretty damn cool. Let's see what else. Oh, here's some big issues. Actually, no, we'll talk about that when we talk about the perks. One thing that you did see was the quote-unquote thermal scope, and quick history lesson, that's called a starlight scope, and starlight scope was an early cross or an early attempt of a thermal night vision type device, and they kind of accurately portray it. It was not very good quality. It was almost impossible to see through at night, and you had to be an excellent marksman and sharpshooter to be able to actually even use it. So it's going to be interesting how that's going to play out. Kill cams are going to return as always. M40A3 rumored to be back. I'm going to love it if it's back. And there's a lot of stuff that is really making me smile, because it's kind of like, yes, this is going to be skill. Now let's talk about the perks. This is very interesting. You guys ready to talk about this? Tier 1 perks: lightweight.